YouTube? This is JG, always on topics. Thank you for viewing my channel. Leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let's get down to it. Okay, so this is the update from the Karmelo Anthony stabbing Austin Metcalf case. The situation that happened in the track meet stadium called Cookendale Stadium in Frisco, Texas. So, of course, you guys know that Karmelo's he's in jail for the murder of Austin Metcalf and is on $1 million bond. Now, the first time I did this video, it started off with, Karmelo going to the Frisco tent due to the rain, and Austin and his brother confront him saying that, hey, you don't go here, you need to move, you should go to your own tent, and Karmelo says, no, I don't have to move, and they get aggressive, and Karmelo says, touch me and see what happens, and the rest. Now, I remember the clip I played when Karmelo, Austin's mother and brother was doing an interview. Now, I've noticed the part where Austin's brother, Hunter, tells the interview what happened, and then in the end he says, I'm not going to say the rest.
I could, but I didn't see the stab. But then I look at my brother, and then I'm not going to talk about the rest. So.
Yeah. Now, when he said that, something was funny. It was fishy about him saying that. Like, why you ain't going to say the rest? When, he was talking about Karmelo was being aggressive. You know what I'm saying? He was being reckless, talking reckless, because your brother wanted him out of the tent because the tent is for them in their school. Although, students are not allowed to remove students from a tent because they don't own that tent. That's the school's decision. And if they had a problem with it, they need to talk to the coach or whoever. And second of all, they were football players. They didn't run track. So they didn't need to tell that dude to move. Especially in that hard-nosed rain, that weather that was going on out there. So it's an update of a witness who saw the whole thing tells what really happened. Let me play that clip.
Bad. Everybody trying to get back to their cars or get in, places where they, wouldn't get all extra with it. Dude was sitting up under the tent, right? He was on his phone, right? My daughters was up under the same goddamn tent. Yeah. So I'm paying attention to my kids, but at the same time, they're in the same vicinity. So I'm watching everything going on around it because I'm there for my children. So dude walks up, McKellen, bro, he wasn't even under the tent at the time. They came from a whole separate tent and walked over there. They intentionally went over there to this kid, man. Dude was sitting there on his phone just trying to get dry. You feel me? One thing went from another. They grabbed this man and they tried to punch on dude. Dude went in his bag and whatever. They went to try to jump this dude and punch on this dude, man. And he protected himself, dude. That's what happened. Yeah. It wasn't just one. It was both of them, bro. Austin, that dude that's got unalive, and his brother physically went over there to intentionally. It's not to the point that he brought a knife. For one, it wasn't on school property. The school is at least 5 to 10 miles away. It was community track meet, bruh. It wasn't a school track meet. So he had the right to have a knife on his person.
Okay, so you saw the clip of the witness that explained everything that what happened. He said his daughters was in the tent with him. He was in the tent with Karmelo. He was with his daughters, and he wanted to look around and make sure nothing happens and all. He said Karmelo Anthony was in that tent before the Metcalf boys, was even in that tent. Come to find out, the Metcalf brothers, they were in another tent. So they were good, but they decided to go to the other tent. And that's when the witness said that those twin brothers went after him with attention. jumping them. They were trying to jump them. It was reported that Austin was punching Karmelo. Hunter took Carmelo's phone, drove through it on the floor, stomped on it, and broke it. And Austin continued attacking Karmelo until he pulled the knife out of his bag, stabbing Austin in his chest. Now, I don't think he meant to go straight for his chest. It was just Austin was just going wild on him, that when he stabbed him, he just has to just go ahead and he just had to stick it in him, whichever that will weaken him. And he accidentally went for the part that most likely would kill him. But none of this would have had happened if those boys had no business going after Karmelo in the first place. Now you see, when the details wasn't come out, you saw how everybody was, those conservatives, those racist conservatives and the black conservatives, was quick enough to say, oh, he needs to be in jail, he needs to be in prison for life. He killed that white boy, he killed him because he was white, this is anti-white. You got people saying dumb stuff on Twitter, who are the conservatives, just automatically going to the race, talking about this was anti-white, he stabbed and killed him because he was white. And you know what I'm saying, just making all these crazy assumptions, these allegations before these details came out. And now with the truth coming out, you know what I'm saying, they were trying to find another way to get this kid locked up. So they go to his photos where it showed him Carmelo holding a gun, then another photo of him putting up the middle finger, and now you know how they like to do us black folks when we are unjustly murdered or justly wronged or have something unjustly wrong done to us. So I decided, hey, let's return the favor. I found 2 photos of the Metcalf brothers holding guns. It's a picture of them in military gear holding guns going deer hunting. There's another photo of them. Now there's 2 photos. One on the left with him and his brother holding the guns again, but on the right gets more interesting. And this should help Carmelo's case. On the right shows Austin Metcalf's Instagram picture, with guns like guns in his car, like he about to go out on pull a drive-by. And he said, I dare these monkeys, I dare these monkeys to come to the track meet today. That alone was enough to tell you that this whole thing was most likely racially intended to happen. They racially intended to go after that black boy, and they know that boy was too small for them. Karmelo is 5'9", 130. Austin is 6'2", 6 feet, 225. I believe his brother's the same size, 6 feet, 225, a little bigger. They were a combination of 455 pounds, and they gonna go after a 130-pound little dude that was, completely undersized against them. So what do you expect for Karmelo to do against guys that's bigger than him? Karmelo looked like the type of dude that never been in a fight. So while y'all posting photos of him doing middle finger signs and holding a gun, there's something else about Karmelo that no one knows about, and the media do not want to tell us. Karmelo was he worked 2 jobs. I believe there's a picture of him in his uniform like he worked at Foot Locker. I don't know the other job that he works at, but they did say it was 2 jobs. That's what, if I heard correctly. Also, Karmelo, when he was 14, a friend of his was drowning in the water, and Karmelo dove in that water and rescued him, keeping him from drowning. And doctor checked Karmelo's friend's lungs and all, and they said he's gonna be just fine. He probably wouldn't have made it if it wasn't Karmelo. So Karmelo had good reviews. There was good reviews about him, and then he's GPA's a full 4.0. You know what I'm saying? He's also a football player himself. He's just a little bit smaller than the Metcalf brothers. Now speaking of Metcalf brothers, I was told they were being bullies, and they were trying to bully people, including Karmelo. And Karmelo, wasn't the one to like get bullied that easily. You know, um, Austin's father talking about how Austin is a GPA 4.0. He was a different football, MVP, defensive player. Because Austin is a linebacker, and I believe Hunter played linebackers. Well, they both play linebacker. So, and they had a future of playing, football like college and pro when he says that. So if that's the case, why would your sons, you know, you know, well at least why would one of them throw that all away by messing with someone who was just on his phone? Because the witness said Carmelo was just on his phone, he was just chilling, keeping himself dry. He wasn't bothering nobody. He wasn't doing anything. People saying, why he got a knife on him. So the track and field, event was not on school property, so you can pretty much bring a knife or whatever. Heck, these teen white kids bring guns to them, and they brought them to shoot people and kill them, and they have succeeded doing that. So if they can do that, then what's wrong with Carmelo bringing a knife? As long as he ain't stabbing nobody or killing nobody, it's all good. We're good. But no, they gotta try to do anything to make him look bad. And there's a GoFundMe for Carmelo, where he's getting we're raising money for his release to get out of the jail, get out on bond and all. And the white supremacists were so mad. Like, look at the black people, raising money to get a murderer out of jail. But yet, and this is from what I heard, and this was accurate. I also Googled it myself, that white folks raised $4 million for Dylan Ruth after he killed 9 people in that church. I didn't, I was like a couple of days old and I heard that. And then, because years, I already know that the police took him to Burger King after they interrogated him. Now, he's like, getting $4 million raised after killing 9 innocent black people in a church. About these racist white folks. Daniel Penny getting raised a ton of money after killing Jordan Neely. Kyle Rittenhouse, he brings a gun. He's 17 years old. Has no right to be out there in the streets trying to shoot at protesters at the age of 17. He should have been at home getting ready for school. And he's getting raised money for what they're saying he was protecting the neighborhood from protesters, peaceful protesters. Like, get out of here with that. So yes, it's just letting you know that black people can't protect ourselves. Like, they expect us to, like, whenever something bad happens to us, they expect us to lift us, pick us up by our bootstraps and take it. No. If you're allowed to defend yourself, white people, racist white people, we're allowed to defend ourselves. I'm gonna put it like this. I'm gonna say it like this: leave people alone. Don't come here messing with people. Don't feel entitled to, don't feel entitled in the need to go mess with someone because they're a different race from you, and you feel like you gotta do something about it because you was told that the race of that people had a history of doing this violent crimes or whatever BS you was filled with your head with. Now, the mother, you know what I'm saying? I believe she has something to do with raising those boys like that. You know what I'm saying? And the father, although I give him kudos about the, not making it about race and all, but I've heard something about him that caused him to get exposed. And I'm gonna do another updated video about that. Other than that, keep raising money for Karmelo Anthony, free him, keep the GoFundMe. Don't let these folks make you feel guilty, because they the most hypocrite, double standard humans ever created on earth. And I'm talking about the racist ones. Be free to do what's right. Keep your freedom. you know what I'm saying, and use that to unify us together and help our people escape from the depths of hell of these white folks' gates, aka jails. That's basically what the best I have to say. Well, this is JG Always on Topics, and I want to thank y'all for taking the time to listen. Leave a comment, tell me what you think. I'm out. Peace.